In the world of high-stakes streaming, two survival dramas have clawed their way to the top of the global conversation. One exploded onto the scene, becoming a cultural phenomenon with a tight, shocking story. The other quietly built a sprawling, complex world that rewarded viewers with intricate mysteries and deeply felt character journeys. But now that the dust has settled, a clear line has been drawn between them, with one closing on a soured, disappointing note, and the other set for a huge and exciting release. So why has the one-time champion, Squid Game, seen its legacy stumble, while Alice in Borderland has only continued to build praise? The answers lie in how each show treated its central mystery, its characters, and the very reason for its existence in the first place, the purpose of the game. At the core of any death game story, you'll find the games themselves. They are the engine that drives the plot forward, the main source of tension, and the ultimate test for every character. Both series deliver brutal and creative challenges, but the philosophies behind them are from different planets. Squid Game grounds its horror in the twisting of nostalgic childhood games we all know into instruments of fear. The sheer simplicity of red light, green light, or the universal stress of tug of war created an immediate gut-level connection with audiences everywhere. The horror wasn't in trying to understand complicated rules, but in watching innocent pastimes get warped by life or death stakes. It was a brilliant hook that made the show incredibly easy to digest and instantly shocking. The message was clear, a deep critique of capitalist desperation where people drowning in debt are forced to play for their lives. But this simplicity eventually became a trap in later seasons. The games, while still deadly, rarely grew beyond being simple spectacles. Their only real purpose was to thin the herd and provide a show for the wealthy VIPs. There was very little sense that the challenges were made to test anything more than desperation or luck. The moments of strategy, like the marble game, took a backseat to raw emotional manipulation and backstabbing from players losing hope. It's a focus on the people, not the games themselves. Alice in Borderland, on the other hand, treats its games like a complex, almost scientific system to be admired. The challenges are sorted by a deck of cards where each suit represents a different type of game. Spades are for physical strength, clubs for teamwork, diamonds for intelligence, and hearts for psychological warfare and betrayal. This system right away adds a layer of strategy and meaning that goes far beyond the immediate need to survive. The games in Borderland are not just random acts of violence. They are detailed puzzles designed to test specific parts of human nature and intelligence. From the cold logic needed to solve the light bulb game to the agonizing emotional choices of Witch Hunt, the challenges force the characters, and us along with them, to engage on an intellectual and philosophical plane. The goal isn't just to survive the task in front of you, but to figure out the logic of the world itself. This focus on brainpower and strategy makes the victories feel earned in a way that Squid Game has trouble matching. While Gihan's survival is often the result of luck, his kindness, or someone else stepping in, Arisu's wins are almost always the direct result of his own sharp mind and analytical skill. He isn't just surviving the horror, but is actively taking it apart, looking for the rules behind all the chaos. This makes him an active hero, not a passive victim. It builds him up a stronger lead compared to the desperation of Gihan's idiot savant persona. The disappointment in Squid Game's third season came mostly from this lack of growth. The games felt like a repeat, just another cycle of childhood activities turned deadly, without any deeper evolution in their purpose. The critique of capitalism, which was so sharp in the first season, felt like it was stuck in place, making the same point over and over without adding anything fresh. The central mystery of who was behind the games and why, when it was finally revealed, didn't really change the nature of the challenges themselves. In Borderland, every game cleared is another piece of a much larger puzzle. Collecting the cards, finding the face cards, and the final showdown with the citizens of the Borderlands all build toward a greater understanding of their reality. The games are not just roadblocks, but the language of this strange world, and learning to speak it is the only real way out. This creates a powerful forward drive that Squid Game lost after its first season. The journey of the protagonist. The second major split between the shows is how the main characters develop. A survival story is only as good as the people we're following, and their transformation, or the lack of it, is what defines the entire message of the story. Here again, the two shows take completely different paths with character growth. Sung Gi-hun starts Squid Game as a man who is deeply flawed but easy to relate to. He's a gambling addict, a bad father, and a drain on his elderly mother. His journey through the games makes him face the results of his life's choices, and his natural empathy becomes both his greatest weapon and his biggest vulnerability. His victory is soaked in tragedy, leaving him traumatized and unable to even touch the prize money. This was a powerful and moving story for the first season. The sight of a broken man, unable to go back to the world that destroyed him, was a haunting end. However, his story in the second and third seasons failed to build on that foundation, instead wasting his storyline. His choice to go after the creators of the game, while noble, felt less like a natural step for his character and more like a tool to keep the plot moving. Gihan's reasons became external. He wasn't fighting for his own life or the chance to be a better dad anymore. He was fighting for a bigger, more abstract goal of tearing down the whole system. This change watered down the personal stakes that made his first story so magnetic. The final seasons had him trying to dismantle the organization, something far beyond his ability, so his plans felt clumsy and out of his league, making his mission feel more pointless than heroic when it eventually failed. Alice in Borderland gives us a very different hero in Ryohei Arisu. When we meet him, he's a brilliant but drifting young man, obsessed with video games and cut off from his family and the world. He feels like an outsider with no direction. His arrival in the Borderlands, a world that runs on the logic of games, becomes the ultimate test for him. It's a hellscape, but it's also the first place where his unique talents have real value. Arisu's journey is one of finding himself. He's forced to use his intelligence not to escape reality, but to embrace and survive it. His growth is tied directly to the world he's been thrown into. He learns about teamwork, leadership, and the weight of having others depend on you. Each game he beats, especially the Cruel Heart games, chips away at his cynical view of the world and forces him to value life, both his own and the lives of others. His relationship with Usagi is the key to this transformation. She brings the physical skill and emotional stability that he's missing, and together they form a partnership that is much more important to the story than any of Gi-hun's temporary alliances. Their bond is built on a shared trauma and mutual respect, and it becomes the heart of the series. We watch Arisu change from a detached loner into a capable and caring leader who is desperate to get back to the real world, not for revenge, but to live a life that has meaning. This story feels more complete and satisfying. Arisu's change is internal and lasting. The challenges of the games were just what was needed to cause a huge shift in his character. By the end of the show, he hasn't just survived the Borderlands, but has been changed by them for the better. He has found his purpose. Gi-hun, on the other hand, ends his story on a tragic note, ending his life after failing miserably to destroy the institution. It made the final season feel like it went out with a poof instead of a bang, the world and its meaning. Finally, the biggest difference is in the world building and the ultimate lesson. While both shows are mysteries, they ask very different questions. Squid Game asks why people would put themselves through such horror, and the answer is a deep social commentary. Alice in Borderland focuses more on what this place is, and the answer is a deep dive into life, death, and the will to keep going. The world of Squid Game is, by its very design, a twisted version of our own. The island is a hidden stage for cruelty, but it's run by people from the real world and paid for by the global elite. The mystery is entirely logistical. Who are these people? How did they build all this? Why are they doing it? The answers, although we didn't get many of them, are rooted in cynicism, boredom, power, and the dehumanizing effect of extreme wealth. This gives us a powerful, if grim, social critique, but leaves a lot unanswered, causing many fans to feel disappointed. The horror of Squid Game is that it feels like it could actually happen. It's an exaggerated reflection of the real world's inequalities. But once this point is made, the world itself doesn't have many other secrets to give up. The VIPs are almost comically evil, and the frontman's backstory adds a layer of personal tragedy. But the basic nature of the world is simple. This is what made the later seasons feel a bit shallow. They were exploring the logistics of the conspiracy instead of going deeper into the show's philosophical core. The world of Alice in Borderland is far more mysterious and dreamlike. The empty streets of Tokyo, the lasers from the sky, the citizenship visas all point to a reality that plays by a different set of rules. The main question isn't just who is doing this, but what and where is this place? Is it another dimension, a simulation, purgatory, or something else entirely? This ongoing mystery allows for a much richer and more interesting story. The hunt for answers is just as compelling as the games themselves. The discovery that the face card games are run by citizens, people who chose to stay in the Borderlands after their own cycle, adds a fascinating twist. These aren't just sadistic rich people. They are former victims who became part of the system, each with their own philosophy on life and survival. The final reveal that the Borderlands is a place between life and death, a kind of purgatory that the victims of a meteor strike experience in the instant their lives hang in the balance, is a powerful conclusion. It completely changes the meaning of everything that came before it. The games weren't a punishment or a show. They were a physical form of each character's will to live. Beating the games and saying no to citizenship was a subconscious choice to fight for life back in the real world. This ending provides a major sense of hope and meaning. The character's suffering wasn't for the entertainment of the rich. It was part of a universal human fight against death. It gives their trauma a purpose and lets them return to the world with a new appreciation for the life they almost lost. This philosophical depth is what, in the end, lifts Alice in Borderland to another level. Squid Game offers a strong but deeply pessimistic critique of society, suggesting that humanity is stuck in a cruel system with little chance of escape. Its final act is a submission that ultimately we have limited choices against oppression. Alice in Borderland, however, tells a story about the true strength of the human spirit. It argues that even when faced with meaningless death, the will to connect, to love, and to live is an unstoppable force. It's a journey that moves from despair to hope, leaving viewers not with a sense of anger at the world, but with a renewed appreciation for how precious life truly is. So this is why Alice in Borderland works and Squid Game sucks. Do you agree with our points, or is there something you think we're missing?